yes, there are things in nature that are dangerous, but things in nature, when utilized properly, can basically do you no harm. I mean, they're
Yeah.
meant to be here. They're and talk about like something like regenerative agriculture,
Hmm.
um, which I believe has leaves behind a uh, doesn't leave behind a footprint at all. In some cases, it actually can help the environment.
Yeah. Sequesters.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, from some of my understanding of it. And when you kind of think about that, like you talked about a bagel tree, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's just like when it comes to some of the information from someone like a Paul Saladino or even like a Rob Wolf, and they talk about how vegetables and fruits and stuff can be kind of. I just have to kind of go back to that thought process of like things in nature are relatively safe. Obviously, there's some differences in us. Um, I know this for certain. I mean, there's certain things that are hard to say for certain, but I know that some people can eat cow meat, but some
Mhm.
people can't eat the dairy from a cow. And
Right.
I know, we just know some of these things. People have really struggle with like lactose intolerance, and so it makes sense that you're going to digest spinach differently than the way I'm going to digest spinach. We also, it's helpful to have the understanding that some of these vegetables and fruits and the meat are kind of unnatural because of the farming that we've utilized and the techniques that we've utilized to make the fruit bigger, to make the fruit taste better, to breed the animals a particular way. At this point, the world is very much tainted, and we're not going to have farmers that produce skinny cows.
Yeah.
The cows are going to, no matter what they feed them, the cows are going to be fed well, and the cows won't have to go through uh, maybe what an elk went through 2,000 years ago or something, but
Sure.
at the same time, there's nothing wrong with some of the modern conveniences that we have when it comes to our nutrition. Sometimes, the farming itself can be questionable, and I don't think anyone's in favor of that, and
No,
I do
no.
think that when we get people to be educated further on that fact of, like I'll throw down some like In-N-Out burger here and there out of convenience. And I talk about this quite often. People are into the environment until it's inconvenient.
Exactly.
People are into things until it's inconvenient. And I don't mind saying that I'm a flawed person in my own, like, in what I vote for and what I put my dollars towards. Sometimes I have compassion towards these things. But I try not to be uh, I try not to limit my life and be a total freak about it either, because for as much as, and this might be a ridiculous statement to some people, for as much as I think, we have a job to do to be responsible with the environment, I also partially believe that the environment is kind of indestructible.
Yeah.
And if you need any proof of that, you might want to look into some of the changes that happened during the quarantine. We just
Yeah.
stopped driving for a while, and this brings up another point. Like from a rational perspective, would it make sense for us to have some sensitivity towards the environment and say, hey, you know what? How about this weekend? This particular city doesn't do much in terms of driving, and
Right.
then and it switches to another city. Could we do that in unison and block off different time periods for different areas? I don't think that we could. I know that we could, but
Yeah.
will anything like that ever happen? Probably not.
I love that idea a lot more than like meatless Mondays, but you know, the
Correct.
the interesting thing here too, though, that I love that you're touching on is I also think the environment's indestructible. Like when people talk about the end of the world, you're just talking about the end of humans. The world will be fine long after we're gone. The other
Right.
strange thing is that we disconnect human. We don't include humans when we talk about nature. So like a gorilla taking a stick and putting it in an ant hill to eat ants, like this is a form of technology that we consider completely natural. Or an ant hill itself, a colony of ants is completely natural. But somehow we look at New York City and we say not natural. And you're like, well, wait a minute. We're literally animals that live in the ecosystem and our brains created this thing. This is actually perfectly natural. So I'm with you. Like I totally agree that, you know, you can indulge sometimes in the modern conveniences, but it's a matter of not, it's, dude, I always say like self-awareness is the lead domino for all sustainable lifestyle change. And what I want people to understand is we just need to stop lying to ourselves. Like if you eat In-N-Out Burger, you're not saying this is so good for my metabolism and so good for my cells. You understand what you're doing. But instead, what people do is they justify things. It becomes this like, well, I haven't eaten all day, so I can eat the Ben and Jerry's pint of ice cream and it doesn't matter. And you're like, no, it still matters, but just be honest with yourself about it. Or if you're in Minnesota in the dead of winter and you're eating avocados, this is probably not the most natural thing. You wouldn't have been able to do that in that climate, you know? So I just think we need to, again, it goes back to critical thinking. It's like, can we just get people to be honest about what they're doing? And if you want a burger, eat a burger, man. Like, be cool with that.